This season of the Urban Conservative Podcast is brought to you by Newton for Senate, working to improve education, reduce taxes, and keep North Carolina #1 for business. Find out more at newtonforsenate.com. This episode of the Urban Conservative has also been sponsored by Case Technology Consulting. Help your business get value out of its data and become more efficient and streamlined. Case Technology Consulting. Check out the link in the description. All right, ladies and gentlemen, you know what it is. It's time for Top of the Morning here on the Urban Conservative. You are checking out the best 30-minute morning show on the internet. I am Abdul Ali, proud to be with you this morning. We got a lot going on, a lot to get into. If you haven't done so already, we need you to go over to tuconservative.com. That is the website where you can support our mission of sharing conservative values and principles and the benefits of conservative policies to urban communities across this great nation of ours. That website is also where you can grab yourself a Top of the Morning mug, a t-shirt. Also grab a Hamilton plan, which makes you a part of the fastest growing conservative community online, which is a TUC network. You get heads up when we do special events. You get first dibs on tickets, all that kind of good stuff. So again, ladies and gentlemen, the website to support that is tuconservative.com. As well, yours truly, Abdul Ali. I'm running for U.S. House District 12 down here in Charlotte. We're going to talk about Charlotte here in just a minute. But again, that website, aliforcongress.com. We're working to make America better, concentrating on improving our education system, upward economic mobility, and obviously with everything going on, we're talking about prioritizing, not enough coffee yet, the safety of our communities here in North Carolina. Well, folks, it has been a very interesting last few days, what's been happening here in Charlotte. Just unspeakable acts, things that are going on. I'll just go ahead and share this tab. You know, it is sad to see 4 officers end of watch, Joshua Iyer, Samuel Pollock, William Elliott, and Thomas Weeks. We actually here at the Urban Conservative have a connection to Officer Iyer. Some of our good friends over at the Community Resource Center and the Women's Center and the University Simmons Women's Center was one of their son-in-laws. So our condolences go out to them. There have been updates in what's happening in Charlotte. Again, 4 law enforcement officers fatally shot, 4 others wounded while serving an arrest warrant here in Charlotte. The attacker was found dead in the front yard of a barricaded home after the standoff that lasted about 3 hours. 2 other people of interest were taken into for questioning. It's one of the deadliest assaults on U.S. law enforcement in the past few years, folks, and should be a reminder to each and every one of us that are not in law enforcement, that don't put our lives on the line every day, how dangerous this job actually is. These folks sign up for not a lot of money to do some very dangerous work. We want to be critical of the police. We want to, some of these politicians talking about defunding the police. Terrible idea. But again, this is another example of how dangerous what these folks do. Officers were part of a U.S. Marshals task force. The warrants they were attempting to serve was against a felon who was wanted for illegally possessing firearms. Now, the gunfire erupted when they tried to arrest him. They returned fire in the front yard. More shots were fired from them inside the home. Chief Johnny Jennings of Charlotte-Mecklenburg Police told at a news conference that a high-powered rifle was found inside the property. He said it was the worst attack on police officers he could recall in his 30 years on the force. Shots were ringing out for more than 2 hours after the attack began in a residential area. The assault ended when the police stormed the home on Galway Drive, Shannon Park neighborhood, using armored vehicles to smash their way in, destroying the windows and doorways. 2 women were inside the home with the suspect were taken in for questioning. Police believe there was more than one attacker involved. U.S. Marshals confirmed in a statement that one of its officers had been, unfortunately killed in the raid. Governor Cooper chimed in. This is just a heart. Families of the co-workers and officers that were attacked today, he said on X. The interesting, and I don't know if it's interesting or not, but just months before this happened, the man at the center of these police deaths led them on a high-speed chase in Lincoln County. Lincoln County Sheriff Bill Beam told WCNC Charlotte one of his officers tried to pull over the 39-year-old Terry Clark Hughes Jr. in January, but instead of slowing down, he sped up and took off. Beam said a supervisor called off the short chase once the officer identified the license plate, which was registered to a woman. The U.S. Marshal Fugitive Task Force, who was leading this operation, was attempting to serve multiple warrants, including one that tied him to the Lincoln County chase at a home on Galway Drive in East Charlotte when they were met with the gunfire. 2 other people were found inside again after he was killed. Hughes, CMPD has not identified the other person. Now, this guy had an extensive criminal record. State records show Hughes was convicted of breaking and entering in Person County, which is a little north of Raleigh, if you're familiar with North Carolina. In 2010, he spent approximately 6 months in prison before being released in May of 2011. He was arrested in 2012 after a high-speed chase in Alamance, a little west of Greensboro. Deputies said Hughes led them on a chase at over 100 miles an hour after turning around to avoid a checkpoint. At that time, he was wanted on several warrants in numerous counties for failing to appear, spent nearly a year in prison for possession of a firearm by a felon, and speeding to elude arrest. He was arrested by CMPD, Charlotte-Mecklenburg Police, in 2021. Charged with fleeing and eluding with a motor vehicle, he was released from jail hours later. Thanks, judges. Court's records show how many, but not all, of the charges out of Mecklenburg were dismissed. There are 3 pending orders for arrest tied to the remaining charges, including possession of marijuana, fleeing and eluding arrest, and possession with the intent to sell marijuana. Those arrest orders generally suggest Hughes failed to appear for a court date. The Charlotte DA, Spencer Merriweather, stopped prosecuting drug crimes early 2021 as the pandemic had bogged down the court system, but court records show Hughes had a pending case from 2021 out of Person County for possession of a firearm by a felon and possession of marijuana. A warrant shows the Person County Sheriff's Office found Hughes with a handgun. Court records indicate he failed to appear for court in February of 2023. That same day, the courts issued an order for arrest that remained outstanding until this was served. So what we essentially have here is a felon, somebody who has continuously broken the law, somebody who has made it his career, if you will, of breaking the law. And now, as a result of that, we have 4 men whose families are going to be without them, whose co-workers are going to be without them, whose sacrifice really was over one individual. And now 5 people have lost their lives when you count the young man who was committing the crime. So that's what's going on. That's an update of what's happening in Charlotte. Jump in the comments. Let us know where you want you from. As always, shouts out to G-Town. Gastonia is in the building. We appreciate the love each and every time. We'll be right back here on Top of the Morning. We're going to take a quick commercial break. We're going to come back, give you a little Trump trial updates, and talk a little bit about what's happening with this runoff. Y'all don't go nowhere. We'll be right back here on Top of the Morning. Have brought you chaos at our border, failed foreign policy, sky-high prices, and out-of-control crime. It's time for new ideas and new leadership. Vote Abdul Ali for U.S. House District 12, and let's make America better. Paid for by Ali for Congress.
I'm Dave Bollick, conservative, running for state auditor. I'm a former prosecutor, I've run businesses, I've managed budgets, and I've fought the woke left. I'd appreciate your vote on May 14th. Visit auditordave.com for more information.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're back. Top of the morning here on the Urban Conservative. Again, rest in peace to Officer Joshua Iyer, Samuel Pollock, William Elliott, and Thomas Weeks. Rest in peace, y'all, and thank you for paying the ultimate sacrifice and service to our community. Once again, thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to move on and talk a little bit about what's going on here with the Trump trial. Trump has been hit with a contempt charge. Witnesses also detailed the Stormy Daniels deal. He's on trial in New York, where he's facing felony charges related to a 2016 hush money payment to adult film star Stormy Daniels. It marks the first time in history that a former president has been tried on criminal charges. Last April, he pled not guilty to a 34-count indictment charging him with falsifying business records in connection with the hush money payment his then attorney Michael Cohen made to Daniels in order to boost his electoral prospects in the 2016 election. Now, exiting the courtroom following a day's testimony, Trump reiterated claims that the case is unfair, which it is, and that he should be campaigning and sitting in court, which is exactly what they want to do. They want to keep Donald Trump off of the campaign trail. Why do they want to keep Donald Trump off the campaign trail, you ask? It's because he's winning. More people right now are looking to support Donald Trump than are looking to support Joe Biden. And why is that, you ask? Would it have anything to do with the better economy? Would it have anything to do with not starting any new wars? Would it have anything to do with Donald Trump not being for sale, as it were, as some of these other politicians who come into federal government worth next to nothing and then somehow leave as multi-gajillionaires? You know, some of these folks haven't been in Congress since I'm 15 years old. I'm 45 now. You guys been in D.C. more than half of my life. Would that be the reason they want to keep Donald Trump off the trail? And he made a quote. He said he's sitting here because that's exactly what they want. They don't want me on the campaign trail, but it's a real disgrace, and the whole world is watching. It's a disgrace to New York. Trump also railed against the limited gag order in the case, for which the judge this morning fined him $9,000 and ordered him to remove 9 social media posts. This is interesting. Asked by a reporter what he meant by the calling the judge conflicted, Trump returned and responded, "You can figure that one out easily. Trump is in recess until tomorrow. The case is in recess. But following attorney Keith Davidson's testimony about Michael Cohen providing the $130,000 payment for Stormy Daniels' hush money deal, Juan Merchan recessed the proceedings for the day." Okay? Now, here's the thing. Hush money payments aren't abnormal. That's a normal, as much as it feels icky saying it, that's how it goes. Hey, we had this relationship. We're going to do, I don't want you talking about it, so you're going to take this money and you're going to shut up. That's how it goes ideally when you're in that situation. Shouts out to Marla. She made a valid point here. I put this up on the screen. What they don't get is that the people are going to vote for him anyway. And that's the sentiment that's happening across the country. People, especially folks who have been impacted by the criminal justice system, are starting to recognize that something don't smell right about how this is all going down. Something just don't sit right. Okay? It just doesn't, it doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel like there's anything, because you can't evolve this shit. It's so convoluted. They haven't even really said what he's done. He wired somebody some money so she would shut up about her relationship with Trump, maybe a sexual relationship with Trump. So now they're saying he falsified business documents to do that. And then the interesting thing is, when you go on some of these left-leaning podcasts, you go on some of the left-leaning media, you hear people say things like Trump was convicted of sexual assault. Trump was never convicted of sexual assault. Never happened. He was never found guilty of that. So there you have it, folks. A $9,000 fine. Trump trial resumes tomorrow in New York City. There's going to be, I think, there's been a what do they call that? A demur in the Georgia case. Essentially, the judge is telling them, y'all aren't pleading the right thing. Fannie Willis and them are messing up down in Georgia. Now we know, right? And I've listened to some of the Supreme Court arguments. You know, we could go back and watch the videos from January 6th. Trump didn't tell anybody to go over to the Capitol and do anything violent, okay? He just didn't do it. I knew people that were up there, and it was clearly a situation where you had some people that just were not going to listen. And I mean, and you know what? Let's just do this.
This egregious assault on our democracy. And after this, we're going to walk down, and I'll be there with you. We're going to walk down. We're going to walk down anyone you want, but I think right here, we're going to walk down to the Capitol. And we're going to cheer on our brave senators and congressmen and women. And we're probably not going to be cheering so much for some of them. Because you'll never take back our country with weakness. You have to show strength and you have to be strong.
So where is he down there telling people to riot? I've been waiting for that input there. Where's the Trump told people to go down the and there's actually video of him saying do it peacefully. Go down there and do it peacefully. But that's not the video they're gonna play on this, on the pundits and all of those kind of things. So Trump trial updates, ladies and gentlemen. There you have it. I will be right back here on Top of the Morning. We got one more segment we're going to cover. We're going to talk a little bit about the runoff. So y'all don't go nowhere. We'll be right back.
I'm Dave Bollick, conservative running for state auditor. I'm a former prosecutor. I've run businesses. I've managed budgets, and I've fought the woke left. I'd appreciate your vote on May 14th. Visit auditordave.com for more information.
Country illegally cast a ballot. It takes the power of your vote away. Visit onlycitizens.vote to find out how you can contact your legislature and get them to pass a citizens-only voting amendment. Again, visit onlycitizens.vote and defend your right to vote. All right, ladies and gentlemen, y'all know what it is. It is time for Top of the Morning again here on the Urban Conservative. Glad to be with you, ladies and gentlemen. As always, Abdul Ali with you. If you have been living under a rock, then you wouldn't know that there is a runoff happening here in the great state of North Carolina. One of those seats that is up for the runoff is the office of the lieutenant governor. You have Hal Weatherman and Jim O'Neill. Hal Weatherman recently received the endorsement of Lieutenant Governor Mark Robinson, who is running for governor. That is a very strong endorsement. As you can see, the numbers, this wasn't even really from a numbers perspective. It was a 40,000 vote difference, almost 45,000 vote difference. So, we're expecting to see Hal Weatherman come out of that race. So there you have it. Hal Weatherman and Jim O'Neill are running for the lieutenant governor's runoff. And then you have the state auditor's runoff in North Carolina. And those are the two seats that you have up for runoff in North Carolina. Now, the two folks that are running in the auditor's race are Jack Clark and Dave Bolliak. Now, Dave has some pretty highfalutin endorsements there. You can go back on our channel. We just had an interview with Dave, found out more about his record, some of the things he wants to do with the office of the lieutenant governor, what he wants to do with the office of the state auditor, and some of his background and information. And he was very an integral part of what's going on and what's happening on the college campus up there at UNC Chapel Hill. Dave played a big role in getting those protesters removed. And that's an interesting thing to see. The guy's kind of has a history of being involved up there with the college system and wrangling in budgets and things of that nature. But there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. You have Jack Clark, Dave Bolliak running in the the state auditor's runoff. Now, the thing to consider about the runoff is if you are an unaffiliated voter who pulled a Republican ballot, or you are a Republican voter who voted in the primary, you need to go vote. Early voting is now, it's on. Just go to your county board of elections so that you can find out exactly where you need to go in order to vote early and vote on election day in the runoff for North Carolina state governor and lieutenant governor and North Carolina state auditor. Last thing I wanted to take a look at, and folks, it is an interesting dynamic that you go to places where they scream death to America. You go to places where they are not fans of our lifestyle, of our freedom, of our democracy, of our representative republic more so. They're not a fan of the fact that we're a predominantly Christian nation. They're not a fan of the fact that women have freedom. And some of these places, Hamas and some of these radical Islamic terrorist groups scream death to America. So to see pro-Hamas protests on our college campuses. It's disheartening to say the least. It's we're all about free speech, but there comes a point where we're kind of like, what's happening to our young folks? Violent clashes broke out, University of California, Los Angeles, early Wednesday morning. Counter demonstrators attacked a pro-Palestinian protest encampment hours after New York City police cleared pro-Palestinian protesters out of an academic building that had been taken over at Columbia. Aerial footage showed people wielding sticks or poles to attack wooden boards being held up as makeshift barricade to protect the pro-Palestinian protesters at UCLA, some holding placards or umbrellas. At least one firework was thrown at the camp. Administrators at the university called in law enforcement to stem the violence, which is the worst since counter-protesters who support Israel set up a rival protest area near the pro-Palestinian encampment. Now, the idea here, and I'm not going to play the actual violence of it, but there you see what's going on. What you have is a bunch of yuppie, rich in most cases, liberal idiots out there in support of Palestine. And the interesting thing is, these are people that, by and large, if they were to go to one of these hostile, predominantly Islamic nations, they would be themselves on the chopping block because they're the LGBTQ or because they're Christian or because they're just not Muslim. They'd be on the chopping block. And the unfortunate reality of it is these people are too dense to recognize that. They're so caught up in their own self-righteousness that they don't recognize how dangerous or how much danger they would be in if they were to go to a country go to where Hamas is. They wouldn't do well. But it is a sad state of affairs, ladies and gentlemen, when you have people, especially Americans, supporting Palestine, pro-Hamas Americans. These people, I could go back and play the videos, Death to America and all this foolishness. It's absolutely insane. And I'm glad, and here in North Carolina, the protesters at Chapel Hill took down the American flag, put up a Palestinian flag, to which law enforcement reacted swiftly, as they should have. As they absolutely 1000% should have. Because nothing should be over, especially in our country, nothing should be over the American flag at all. And as a matter of fact, I'm gonna play a quick video because our lieutenant governor made a video about this.
I don't know how many of you all may have seen this, but there was a pretty disturbing incident today to add to the disturbing incidents we've seen all across the country and all across the state with some of these protests. At the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill, student protesters actually took down the American flag and raised the Palestinian flag. The good news is this: law enforcement officials, along with the chancellor, interim chancellor Lee Roberts, went out, took down that Palestinian flag and replaced the American flag back where it's supposed to be. They sent a strong message that that's not going to be tolerated on that campus, and I hope that that type of strong message continues, and I'd love to see that continue all across the state. So guys, appreciate you over at UNC and your efforts to keep peace and security on that campus. Continue to ramp that up. Thank you.
Bottom line, folks, shouldn't be pulling down the American flag, shouldn't be putting up the Palestinian flags. This is the US of A. This is not Palestine, okay? And to Marla's point, a lot of these people have no clue of what they're even protesting for, ladies and gentlemen. But there you have it. You have been checking out Top of the Morning here on the Urban Conservative, the internet's best 30-minute morning show. You can sponsor an episode, sponsor a season. All you have to do is go to our website, which is tuconservative.com. You can go ahead and click that sponsor an episode, sponsor a show. We'd love your support. Again, you can get yourself a TUC mug, get yourself a Top of the Morning coffee mug, which makes your coffee taste better. You can get a TUC t-shirt, support the Urban Conservative. As well, don't forget AliForCongress.com. We are asking everybody to contribute $24 to help us take on Joe Biden and Alma Adams. You can do that by going to Ali for Congress, ALIFOR, Congress.com. And do remember, we have a very interesting interview coming up here. Actually, we did an interview with Dave Bolliet. And now we're going to be doing an interview on Monday with the good brother Hal Weatherman, who is running for lieutenant governor. So you are going to want to make sure that you are back here on Monday the 6th. We will have a lot. I'll show you better than I can tell you. Hold on a sec. I should have pulled this up before. But we do have Hal Weatherman coming on. Really excited to talk to him about what he sees, going forward with the lieutenant governor's office, some of the things that he would like to do with the lieutenant governor's office should he get past the primary, which we think will most likely happen. I mean, he is the only candidate that I know of that has for lieutenant governor that has hit all 100 counties and multiple counties multiple times. There you have it. So again, that is going to be on Monday the 6th, 8 p.m. Hal Weatherman, who is running for lieutenant governor, will be our guest here on the Urban Conservative. Make sure you join us for that. For my twin brother, Raheem Architect Soto, this is Abdul Ali. You have been checking out Top of the Morning here on the Urban Conservative. Y'all have a positive and productive rest of your Wednesday, ladies and gentlemen. Peace.
I'm Dave Bollitt, conservative running for state auditor. I'm a former prosecutor, I've run businesses, I've managed budgets, and I've fought the woke left. I'd appreciate your vote on May 14th. Visit auditordave.com for more information.
I served in the Army 26 years, retired as a colonel. I started a business from scratch that created a lot of great jobs for veterans. We help the military develop ways to defeat IEDs, improvised explosive devices, saving the lives of hundreds of American soldiers and preventing thousands of serious injuries. Now let this conservative fighter take on Biden's mess at the border.
I'm Lori Buckout. I approve this